It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
He meddled in things that you
Where will we go next? This phantom from another time.
No one but tomorrow.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to
Cryptid Campfire.
This is our 30th episode.
Whoop whoop.
My name is Jasmine,
My name is Alex.
My name is Eli.
and today we're doing a super special episode. We're actually not going to be talking about any specific cryptid. We're kind of doing...
What?
I know, crazy, right? We had this idea that we kind of wanted to do this retrospective, like looking back on our journey through Cryptid Campfire. we don't necessarily call this a first season or anything like that, but
Call it the first tome.
Oh,
we've
69.
done 29 episodes. 28 with research, because we did have that one ghost story episode.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
So that was like a random off the whim.
If you really want to go for it, 26 with research, because we did do 2 movie episodes.
Yeah.
You're right.
So-
So today we kind of want to just like give you a little background, like view into it, a behind the scenes, kind of tell how this whole thing started. And we're going to start that off by actually introducing ourselves. Like, you guys most likely know our names. If you've
Mhm.
listened to the podcast, you know who we are. But unless you follow us on Twitter or have interacted with us, you probably don't actually have any idea who we are. So,
Yeah, it's true.
I'm going to start it off. My name's Jasmine. I'm 26. I'm originally from Ohio. Moved out here to Los Angeles, California 3 years ago to follow the dream. Long-term goal is to be a working actor. I've been an extra background actor on like over 35 different TV shows and productions that you've probably seen. None actually very recognizable. It's not like you're watching TV and then they're like, "Oh my God, is that Jasmine With?"
Of Cryptid Campfire? Oh my god.
If you watch Dear White People on Netflix, you might see that season 1, episode 1. But, anyways,
of Cryptid Camp. That part got me.
So, Eli, Alex, and I used to all work together at the same movie theater, and
Mhm.
so that's how I know them. We weren't actually all friends until this kind of started. I mean, we were all like fine, like we didn't.
We were coworkers who kind of knew each other.
Yeah,
and
we were
could-
like acquaintances.
Yeah.
I didn't like start talking to Eli for like a whole year
Yeah.
until like we actually became friends or anything like that. But I was actually asked to be a part of this by Eli.
Yeah.
So why? I feel like I'm in an interview. Why don't you tell us a little about how this idea started? Where did the idea for this podcast come
I guess
from?
we'll kind of Alex's background here. 'cause
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
introduce us. Or
Yeah.
introduce yourselves.
I was gonna say, I guess we'll talk about ourselves a little bit, and then we'll kind of get into the meat and bones of it all.
Yeah.
My name is Alex Daikaiju. That is my artist name. My full name, if you do want to know, is Alex Lear.
Well, I'm gonna find you on Facebook.
It's true. Go ahead, find me out. I am 29 years old. I'm actually from the Orange County originally. I'm from OC. I moved out to LA about 8 years ago to live with my then girlfriend, now wife, Michelle. She's actually on an episode, the ghost episode.
Mhm.
I work at a movie theater part-time. I do storyboards for movies and TV shows every so often, kind of independently. And I just like to do art, and I actually will probably going on a hiatus after this episode for a couple weeks, and I'll be doing more art cryptid related for our Instagram as a little surprise for new content.
Nice.
Tight.
That's a little bit about myself. What about you, fella?
My name's Eli Watson. It's full name. I'm 20 years old. Whoa!
He's a
Whoa!
baby.
I'm the baby.
Excuse me, sir. Are you looking for your mommy?
Yeah. I grew up in Temecula, California, so that's about 90 miles south of Los Angeles. We record the podcast in my grandmother's house.
Yeah. Possibly
so-
haunted.
Probably, most likely.
Mhm.
It is.
It's real.
I moved here about 3 years ago. After high school, I'm going to college now. Can't wait to be done with that. And I'm pursuing a goal of being a writer-director. So, and possibly actor.
Mhm.
Cause throw that in the mix.
Yeah,
Why
what
not?
the heck?
So Jasmine has acted in a couple of my things,
Yeah.
which may or may not be released.
Yeah, they have yet to be seen by the world. Eli's rewriting a lot of this because he's got a bigger vision for it.
So much. I'm just,
But hopefully someday that footage will come out because I was pretty excited to be asked to be a part of it.
yeah, I probably will release it. But cryptids have been something of an interest of mine since I was young.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, all that stuff. I've always been like, yo, that's what's up. And so to do something like this where we talk about cryptids on a weekly basis is like so tight.
Yeah.
Because this is like been a random fascination, and like now I have an excuse to just go into it every week and be like antisocial for at least a couple of hours and be like, I'm looking at Bigfoot. And like nobody can say anything anymore because I'm actually doing something.
Yeah.
So was it your idea then to like start this?
It low key was. I remember it was at the movie theater.
It was.
We were at Back Bar, and I threw it out as a joke.
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, we could do a podcast." I said that to Alex. I was like, "Yeah, we could do a podcast."
Because I do a little background. So we all worked at the same movie theater. Me and Eli, I think we were at one position. I think it was like ACM or something, to where we were just standing around. We started talking about like movies, and then somehow we talked about like paranormal.
Yeah.
And I think I was like, I think we're having deja vu. And you're like, what? I was like, I feel like we've been here before, standing here talking about this stuff, even though it was the first time we'd actually been in that position together.
Huh.
Because I get deja vu a lot every so often. And we were talking, and so that kind of opened the door of like, oh man, ghosts. And then it was like, what about Bigfoots, cryptids? So we did a lot, and so every time we worked together, it was always just like, oh man, what do you think about this, that? We were talking about like anything that was paranormal, strange, weird. We were talking like everyone else. We'd talk, other people be like, oh man, what do you think about like UFOs and stuff? And they're like, what are you talking about? Yeah. And we'd just be having these conversations, and I think we're in Back Bar, and you're like, we should do
Back Bar means concession stand for
Yeah.
anybody who doesn't know.
Yeah. Very good. We're dropping some movie theater lingo here.
And ACM, which he mentioned earlier, is alcohol compliance monitor, making sure that people in the theaters don't have alcohol when they're not supposed to.
Which we never did.
No.
Yeah.
How the freak are you supposed to see? It's
I
dark.
know, right?
Anyways.
Anywho, the challenges of the job.
Yeah, so I threw it out as a joke, and I really didn't expect anything. And then it was a couple days later, and you were like, yeah, I think I really want to do a podcast. And I was like, whoa!
It's like, what do we start? I don't know.
Yeah,
but we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so
And how soon after that? I definitely feel like I'm the interviewer right now.
like a week or two later, I think.
Is when you asked
Because
me.
we were talking about bringing on a third person.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, me and Alex were having some good-ass conversation, but, like, it was, like, there was that one little piece missing to make it work as a podcast. So we were thinking about a couple other people, but we were like, I don't know.
Because I like the 3-person format of a podcast. I think it's it's 2 people is fun, but sometimes, you can kind of get lost if they really know each other and they kind of get deep in a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think having 3 people is a good kind of round table of discussions, ideas, and different takes on what the subject matter is. And so we're like trying to, it's like puzzle pieces, like, oh, we do this, do that. And then I remember one day, I think after, it was like a week later, you're like, I think I know who we should have. Jasmine. I was like, Jasmine?
And I got that because of the whole Infinity War thing.
What?
Wait, no, that didn't make sense. Right? No, yeah.
I have no idea what you're referencing. All I remember is one day we were in the concession stand.
No, yeah, because the reason why I thought of you in particular was because of Infinity War.
Because of the movie or because I won the contest?
Because you won the contest.
Okay, yeah, little quick background on that. If any of you are huge Marvel fans and are active on Twitter, you may remember last year they had this Marvel 10-year sweepstakes where the prize was like, go to the Captain Marvel set, go to Disney Studios, go to Marvel Studios, go to Disneyland, go to the Infinity War premiere. And I say all this super nonchalant, but it's actually like the coolest thing ever. Well, I won that. I freaking went to the Infinity War premiere. It was crazy. I was one of 10 people in the nation to win this crazy grand prize. It totally didn't feel real, but that's another story for another podcast. That's not this one.
Or your YouTube channel.
My
which
YouTube
is-
channel, yes. I do have a video on my YouTube channel explaining all of this if you have any interest in watching it. I'll go ahead and plug that. I actually am not active on that right now. The last video I did post was this story.
Yeah.
And my username doesn't make any sense because it used to be my dad's YouTube channel that I used when I was like a little kid. So the name doesn't make any sense. I'm not super active on there anymore, but there are a lot of good videos of different Hollywood experiences that I've had and different vlogs and story times and things like that. So if you want to hear about the Marvel 10-year sweepstakes, you can go to youtube.com/JamieStar319A. Again, it makes no sense. It's JamieStarr319A.
I think I'm subscribed.
You probably are,
And
but that's...
well, that's why, because I saw that video, and
Oh,
then I did
okay.
a little bit of internet snooping, and I found
Oh.
those some other videos, and I was like,
Oh.
Jasmine can talk. I was like, and she's got a good voice. So, like, because that's very important for a podcast, because sometimes you turn on a podcast, and these people are, like, sound
Super
like total
monotone.
doorknobs.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
how you doing, everybody?
Yeah.
I'd like to take you to the
And I'm like...
I didn't know that. I didn't know that you did that creeping.
Oh,
I'm fine
man.
with it,
Oh,
but
yeah,
that's
well,
cool.
that's what
I'm
happened.
glad. See, I'm glad that that's what you or other people might initially think, because that's the whole reason that I would make those YouTube videos, is because I really like to talk and talk with lots of inflection and crazy stories. So, but yeah, I remember I was just in the concession stand at work one day, and like I said, like the three of us were acquaintances, like we were coworkers. We didn't talk outside of work.
I
I
mean,
actually was on your previous
oh,
podcast.
yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Once
jeez.
before. Eli used to have this podcast that you weren't on it, but you like hosted it. You like made it. It was
Yeah.
this movie review podcast.
Yeah.
And he brought
those,
me on.
Those are still up, too.
yeah.
He brought me on for this episode about Kingsman 2 because I'm super obsessed with Pedro Pascal. And so we were kind of acquainted, like kind of buddies, but like we didn't talk on a normal basis or anything like
Yeah,
that.
we were acquainted. She'd been to my house before.
Yeah.
you know?
So we were in the concession stand, and one day Eli just walks up to me and he goes, "So Jasmine, do you have any interest in the paranormal?" And I was like,
I had to do that.
and I was like, "Yeah, actually." And he was like, "Oh, dang, really?" And so I told him this whole backstory about like how I was involved with the TV show Ghost Adventures on the Travel Channel and all of these weird ghost stories and stuff like that. And then he pitched the podcast to me. And I mean, we were like on the clock at work, and I was just kind of like, "Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, maybe." And I like didn't know what to say because I liked the idea of it, but also like for me, cryptozoology and like mysteries and this kind of stuff is definitely interesting, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a passion of mine. So when he pitched the idea of me being a part of a Cryptid podcast, I was like, I don't know, do I belong there? Am I going to provide anything? Like, will I be a good addition? Like, I don't know. And when I brought those concerns to him, he was literally like, "Oh, you don't have to do anything. Like, you could just be the third person that, like, we kind of teach stuff to." The original format for the podcast was supposed to be that I come in blind and don't do any research.
It was gonna be it was me and Eli be like, yeah, we're deep in the cryptozoology and the weird stuff. We're gonna do the weird, deep conversation, and Jasmine's gonna be there and
just kind of learn everything.
kind of lay it out and be like, wait, what is, and kind of
this
ask
wide-
questions and. And it caused us to be like, oh, well, we got to explain it. And then that way we wouldn't get too deep in the conversation without it, still being enjoyable.
Yeah, I was supposed to be this, like, wide-eyed audience who kind of, like, spoke for the listeners and, like, was new to it all. And at first I was like, okay, cool, so I don't have to do anything. Like, this sounds super easy. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, no, I'm not comfortable with that. Like, I don't want to feel lazy. Like, I need to do some work.
Yeah.
So
And, like, that was, like, I think one of those, like, just organic things that helped prop the podcast up, because I can just imagine the train wreck it would be if
I just
Jasmine
came in
showed
with
up with
nothing.
like
Yeah.
it's like, so today we're talking about the Dover Demon, and me and Eli go and you're just like, okay,
cool, what's that?
this sounds stupid, what about that?
Yeah.
Well, it is funny to look at my notes because At the very beginning, I didn't take a lot of notes. Like, I did a little bit of Googling,
Yeah.
and I, like, wrote, like, 2 or 3 sentences down, and then I came in with, like, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one episode that I didn't have any notes on. Mongolian Deathworm, I came with no notes.
Oh, jeez.
I had nothing written down. I watched some YouTube videos and read a couple Wikipedia pages, and then I just went for it.
You watched the video with the cow.
But now we come and, like, I get, like, 3 or 4 pages of notes per episode.
They're pretty
and
extensive.
Yeah, I've got 81 pages of notes for 26 episodes.
Woo! That's
So-
a book right there.
Yeah.
And this is all through Google Docs, so that's like my page count. I don't handwrite notes or anything like that. These guys do actually. Eli and Alex both handwrite their notes, which is crazy to me
Well-
because my hand hurts.
I think it comes from because in high school they really put a big emphasis on handwritten notes.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we were supposed to do this Cornell notes.
Mhm.
It's a really fancy way. So the teacher talks, you write it down on 2/3 of the page.
Mm-hmm.
So you like split it up, right? So you have a line going down 2/3 of the page. So you write everything the teacher's saying, like everything you can write, and then you break it down to bullet points, and then you do it a third time, where you summarize everything in your own words.
Oh, wow.
And that's the way, because I went to a prep school. That's the way I did notes for several years. So like to not handwrite notes feels weird.
Mm-hmm.
I get that.
And so like I never copy anything verbatim unless it's quotes.
Mhm.
I usually just read it and then summarize it. I don't
Mm.
do the whole 3 thing because it drove me nuts.
Yeah.
Because they would check your work, and I'm like, why?
That's insane.
I journal handwrite. Like I keep a journal and I handwrite that. I don't keep like an online diary or anything like that because A, that's risky.
Oh, yeah.
But I do like the idea of handwriting, but for stuff like this, when there's like so many crazy names and like
Mhm.
locations and different things, like it's so much easier for me to organize notes if I can copy and paste them into a Google Doc.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with that. But I actually have the notes from our first meeting
Uh-oh.
Oh.
at Starbucks?
no, Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf.
Yeah. Oh.
yeah.
But
Well,
here's what's crazy.
All right, yeah.
We were supposed to meet prior to that.
Oh,
Eli,
yeah,
are you
that's
remembering?
right.
Yeah.
So basically, the first meeting we were supposed to have was at, going to be at this Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf.
That was kind of like in
Yeah.
between where you and I live.
Yeah.
And then Eli
Would drive
drive to, yeah.
It's in the area. So the plan was I would walk to the Coffee Bean because I live close enough, and Eli would pick up Alex and we'd meet there at a certain time in the morning. And so I went a little bit early just because I'm punctual and I like to do that. And I waited and I waited and I waited. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. Like 5 minutes late, whatever. 10 minutes late, okay, are they coming? 15 minutes late, where are they? And so I like messaged them. I was like, yo, are you guys coming? And like Eli wasn't responding and Alex was responding. He's like, yeah, man, I don't know where Eli's at. Like he's not picking up his phone.
Yeah.
So here I am now, like everyone's
was
20
like
minutes late.
I think it was just me at what, like you started at 11, so I think we were going to meet at like 9:30.
Something like that. I had to go to work is why we were meeting in the morning. And so I started to get panicked because like it's one thing if you like get a response and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I'm running late, and then you're like kind of annoyed, but it's like whatever. But the fact that Eli wasn't responding was
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
making me panic. I was like, oh my god, is he okay? I really hope he's just like oversleeping. I hope he's fine. And turns out he was fine.
Yeah.
I was oversleeping, and I can't even remember why.
It's because of your grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
It was a stressful situation.
Yeah.
You don't have to
that
get
was-
into it. But
Though when we started the podcast, I just need to say that was the most stressful semester of my life, and I'm so thankful that we never have to relive that ever again.
Yeah.
The podcast was probably the best thing that had happened to me in those few months. So I'm glad that we did it because I don't know, like, honestly, like, it's going to sound like so cheesy when I say this, but I was like, I've never been depressed in my life, but that was the moment where I would say I like was really extremely depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally, there was nothing in my life that was good at that moment except for this podcast. And so, like, the fact that was there, and, like, even though it added a little bit of stress doing research every week,
Mm-hmm.
it was still, like, worth it to have, like, the hour or two that we have in this room. So I just extremely thankful for that.
Yeah, it was wild because I remember that morning because, I was like, all right, it's 9:15. We're gonna meet at like 9:30. I was like, Eli's gonna be here. I was waiting. 9:30 hits. I think I text you like, hey man, I'm ready to be picked up.
Yeah.
Nothing. And then Jasmine says, hey, you guys coming? I'm like, Eli's not replying. I tried calling and goes to voicemail. And I think the message is like, oh, hi, Jasmine. I'm very sorry for the lateness. I'm trying to get called Eli. I will let you know.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, shit. So I call, I text. And then I was like, man, should I just walk over there and just apologize to Jasmine? Because we had never really talked leading to the podcast. Because you were usually morning and I was always closing. So you'd be leaving as I'd come in. So I think we'd always been like, oh, hey, hello, hi.
Yeah.
Hey, how was opening, whatever. So we never really talked that much prior to the podcast. And so now I'm just like, oh, crap, how am I gonna like apologize to Jasmine because we're the ones who are like, hey, do you want to join the podcast? And now we're ghosting her. This is a nightmare. But then, and then I think I just started sending memes to get any reaction out of Eli. I was just like, oh God, is he dead in a ditch somewhere? Like calling, texting, sending anything I could think of on Instagram and Messenger, like any forum I could think just to get some kind of response from you. And then then you said I have to go to work. I was like, I'm so sorry. I will get a hold of Eli. We'll figure this out. I think at 12 o'clock you finally woke up.
I was really upset with myself when I woke up. I woke up and I saw the time. I was like, dude, I feel good. And then I saw the time and I was like, oh shit.
No.
And I was going through and like I saw your guys' messages and I was just like, ah.
And so I think we were like, all right, well, Eli's alive.
Yeah.
Same time next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we rescheduled and it all turned out fine.
But that one was crazy because that was I think the first week of October we were supposed to meet, so we met the second week. And so I got married last year in October. I got married October 13th.
Yeah.
And the week before I had my bachelor party. The night before the second time we were going to meet, so I went to a wrestling event that had a lot of alcohol. My friends bought me a lot of alcohol. We were up late. I was screaming because it was my first ever real life wrestling match. So 9 o'clock comes around the next day. I drag myself out of bed. My voice is like virtually gone, and my eyes are like burning, and my head hurts. And I'm like, I gotta go. Talk about a podcast. And so Jasmine's sitting there. Eli picks me up. And
Eli buys me tea as an apology for skipping out on the last one. Yeah, you bought me tea.
We walk in and we sit, and it's just, so you guys want to meet up and talk about a podcast? And I'm just like, my head hurts, and I'm just like, oh dear God in heaven.
I do.
You were pretty out of it.
I was so wild.
Our meeting was kind of all over the place too, because this was literally the first time we were getting together to talk about it. But
yeah.
I had asked you guys, okay, so like, what are we gonna talk about? Are we gonna limit it to like what's the restrictions here? Like, how big are we going? How deep are we going? Whatever. And so, in trying to figure that out, we were trying to come up with a name for the podcast, and so I have this list of possible names that this podcast could have been called. And first of all, I just want to say I'm very happy with Cryptid Campfire.
Yeah, it's definitely
like,
the right one.
It
bomb. It has a theme.
It's such a good name. Like, it's such a good name. Like, I'm really proud to be like, I have a podcast called Cryptid Campfire. Like, it just rolls off the tongue really well. And now get ready for the list of names that we could have been.
Well, I just want to say, I came up with the name Cryptid Campfire.
Jasmine
and
you say that in the first episode.
It was the first thing that came to my mind.
Really?
Is the first name. Because I sat down and I was kind of like thinking, okay, what makes good names? Alliteration is always good. We're talking about cryptids. What are words that start with C? Going through just the dictionary in my head. I'm like, okay, Cryptid Campfire? Like, that could totally work because, like, we're getting together around a hypothetical campfire and talking about stories of these cryptids. Like, I'm totally down for that, but I didn't know if that sounded stupid or if that was, like, dumb. But that was the first thing on my list. You guys had told me originally that we were probably going to call it PFOS, which stood for, do you remember?
I think
It
I
stood
think I
for Podcast from Out of Space.
know. Yeah.
PFOS.
Yeah. We're gonna call ourselves PFOS.
And I was like, I don't like that.
That was my name too. It was just like my way of coming with a name was like, just think of any title that sounded cool from a horror movie or sci-fi and just replace whatever with podcast. And I was just like, all right, what about the podcast from outer space? Like, oh, that sounds dope. And we can abbreviate to PFOS.
And I was like, I don't know, guys. Maybe we can come up with some other
I remember
names.
your face too, because we were like, it was me and Eli sitting next to each other, and you were across the table, and we're like, so we're gonna do a podcast about aliens and cryptids, and it's gonna be called the podcast from outer space,
And I was
or
like,
PFOS for sure. And you go, PFOS? Oh, okay. Is the name set, or? It was just like,
because I had come prepared with other names. Cryptid Campfire was at the top of the list, but I also had other terrible names. And those names were Paranormal Rabbit Hole / Paranormal Deep Dive. So
That
one
was
of
pretty
those
dope.
one of those things.
One of those would have worked
yeah,
too.
that's pretty
but-
dope.
And
yeah.
then I don't know why I have this in parentheses. I wrote my favorite in parentheses, which was dumb because this is the worst one, and Cryptid Campfire was my favorite. But one of my other suggested names was What We Find Weird, which is just a mouthful of "wah." And then I also wrote down possible names of Creepy Chatter, Anything Weird, and Weird Weekend. And
Weird
those are all
Weekend.
terrible. So, super happy we landed on Cryptid Campfire.
One that I was throwing around for a while was Gentleman's Club,
yeah.
which totally sounds like a strip club.
Yeah,
So
it was. Yeah, you had that name for a different podcast, and you're like, well, I have it already set up. Maybe we can. And I remember I spent a good weekend being like, okay, how can we make this work? All right, Gentleman's Club.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like an exclusive talking about cryptids and paranormal, and we can get a bat and put Gentleman's Club on it because we club people with knowledge.
Yeah, that's
And
right,
it was it's embarrassing thinking back. Like,
It really
I
is.
can't believe I said that.
I didn't even want to bring that up. But
It was-
Hi everyone, thank you, welcome back to PFOS. Could you imagine? Oh my god.
Getting this off the ground was really rough. I
Oh,
mean, we had
man,
that non-existent first meeting and then a rough second meeting because Alex was hungover, I was confused, and Eli was like, "Let's call it PFOS."
Yeah. We're gonna be called
But yeah.
PFOS, and we could call our listeners PFOS.
But you know what was even worse?
what?
Was our first
Our
recording
first
session.
recording session.
Oh dear God.
So here's the situation, guys. I don't have a car, and I don't think you don't have a car either, do you, Alex?
I do now,
You
but
do
at
now.
the
At the
time I
beginning
don't
you
believe
didn't.
I did. Yeah.
So Eli is gracious enough to come and pick us up every week to come and record the podcast. So here I am at my apartment back in October of last year. We had already decided on what days we wanted to film. We all agreed to get our work schedules to like be consistent, have a certain day off so that we could come and record. So I'm sitting home on a Tuesday evening waiting for Eli to come pick me up. I've got my very few notes on what we were going to talk about that day. And he comes and picks me up and he's like, "So, we're actually not going straight to my house because we have to go pick up these parts to fix the mic."
It's the wires actually because I had ordered the 3 mics, and then we had this table, and you know, when you order mics, you expect them to come with, you know, the cables. Newsflash, I guess they didn't. So, and that's what happens when you wait till the day of to set up the mics. And so me and Alex had set up the mics.
I think we were gonna meet. We were gonna pick you up at like what 6?
Yeah.
So we got together at 3, and we're like, okay, we got 3 hours to set the table up, get the mics going. It's gonna be easy peasy, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, all right, put the mics together, and already you can tell it's trouble because you can't get the clamps to stick to the table because it's a weird shape.
Yeah.
So we had to like jerry rig the things together.
Yep,
And-
that's why I never take them off. because
Yeah, I know,
don't want
right?
to do that again.
Never again. It's like, okay, it's 4 o'clock. We got time. All right, got the mic set up. Where's the cables? Are they in the other room? Let's go look. Are they in the, where's the cables?
There are none.
There's none. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? To beat traffic, we'll go pick up Jasmine, and we'll go pick up the cables. Piece of cake.
Do you know that this turned into a 3-hour debacle? My friends, I was picked up, and they're like, yeah, we gotta go pick up the... I think we needed something else, too, because we went to Home Depot first to get, like, some screw or something like that.
It was for my mic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The thing was, like, broken. Like, it didn't even...
So they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, we gotta go to Home Depot, pick up a part, and then we gotta go buy a cable, and then we'll go. And I'm like, okay. So we drove... Here's the thing. So me and Alex live on the same side of town. Eli lives about half an hour away with minor traffic. It can be like 40 minutes if it's a little bit bad. So Eli came all the way to our area to pick us up, and then we drove all the way back to Eli's area to get this part at Home Depot, the little screw.
And then we went to Staples right after.
And then we went to
was,
Staples
like,
right
down the
after,
street.
which is down the street.
Because they usually have the cables.
Right.
But
they didn't. So then we called Best Buy, and
And
no
they
one
did.
could give us any information. I don't think they picked up the phone or anything like that.
So we went to
So we went all the way back over to my part of town to go to an
Fry's.
electronics store where we got the cable. And then we drove all the way back to Eli's part of town. So it was a huge back and forth. And I'm going to be honest. When I was in that car, I was like, this is ridiculous. I was like, did you guys not, like, do this before?
And it's like, before?
Safe to say, I was not super pumped. I was already tired. So again, he picks us up at 6 p.m. This thing takes 3 hours. This is not a joke. We were literally driving around town for 3 hours trying to get the parts for these mics. So we finally get back to Eli's at like 9 o'clock, and it takes I don't know how long to get things set up. And that
I think
night,
it took like another hour.
probably.
and do you know how many episodes we recorded that night?
I think it was like 2 or 3.
Three.
It
We
was 3?
recorded the Chupacabra, the
There was the
Loch
lake-
Ness Monster, and then I don't remember.
Oh,
there was one more.
the night crawlers, the walking
Oh
pants.
yeah, the night crawlers.
Yeah.
We did all of that in one night.
Oh, jeez.
Now, granted, the episodes, because this was the beginning, the episodes were shorter. I think they were like 30 minutes.
About
like they
that,
weren't.
yeah. It's like 30, 29. I think the walking pants is like 22 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's
But
real
if-
short.
But if you go back and listen to those and you think, oh my god, these are terrible, it's because they are. Because we were just getting started. We didn't know our format. We didn't know our dynamic. Like, we didn't know. Because, like, in some of the beginning episodes, like, I opened up the show and I had my boyfriend listen to it. And he was like, yeah, I went back and listened to it. It's weird when you open the show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sorry? So, like, we've gotten into this groove now where, like, Alex opens it up, and, you know, we have these different roles that we play. You know, Eli's a really good, like, storyteller, talking about the sightings and the legends, and I kind of, like, roll off the different facts and things like that. But those first couple episodes, they were rough, and I was not excited. And I think that's why when we came back the next week to do Mongolian Deathworm, that I,
It
like,
was
didn't
so much
have
better.
any information.
You were like,
I was
this
like,
is-
I don't know if I want to do this.
make or
guys."
break it. Like
It was not
Oh, man.
good.
This is like the miracle podcast of just like, it's amazing that we stuck around after that first night.
It really is.
Let alone you, Jasmine. Like, I gotta say, I think I want to say, like, me and Eli talked about this because we get the idea of, like, oh, retrospective will be fun, because sometimes, like, when he's driving us back, like, oh, man, remember we were talking about this on this one episode, and, you know, what do you guys think of this or that? And I think it was, we dropped you off, and I turned to Eli, and I was like, man, could you imagine, like, all those months ago what Jasmine must have thought when we were like, all right, we're doing a podcast. Now we drove around for 3 hours to
Yeah.
pick up a piece and then go record. It was just like, Jasmine, what was going through your head? Like, because first of all, you and me didn't really talk that much before the podcast. You kind of knew Eli, so, like, you don't really know us that much. And
Yeah.
you drive around for 3
3 hours,
hours in
and then
LA traffic.
And then I'm like, all right, come in with us, 2 weirdos, into my grandmother's closet.
Yeah, it's like, so where we're recording? Oh, this tiny room in the back.
Yeah. Well, so the podcast for me, I've actually had to have some self-reflection about this whole thing, because I've definitely grown just in my own, like, recognition of who I am and what I put my effort into. Because, like I mentioned already, when the podcast first started, I wasn't really doing much. I had this feeling that I wanted to be a part of it because I didn't want to come in blind. I didn't want to be this, like, dumb third wheel, stupid girl who doesn't know what we're talking about. And so I was kind of like, doing the little bit of random research and talking whatever. And then as things progressed, I like started to get deeper and deeper. And I was spending whole days in research. Like my days off work, from morning to night, I was on the computer, like researching these different cryptids. And I realized it wasn't fun for me. I literally had a breakdown one day because I was like, this is not my passion. This is not what I should be like spending so much time and energy on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay to reel back a little bit because like this is fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've written this in my journals before, like, if this podcast didn't exist, I probably wouldn't hang out with you guys for any reason.
Mm-hmm.
Eli maybe because of the whole filmmaking thing.
Yeah.
Alex, I don't think I would hang out with you at all
That's
out
true.
of context if we weren't doing this podcast.
Because we had like nothing to. We never had a serious conversation before the podcast.
And so for me, it's really cool to like do this, even though it's not my passion, even though it's not my career. Like, I'm not a cryptozoologist, I'm not out in the field doing research or like tracking down Bigfoot or anything like that. It'd be cool to like maybe do that someday once in a while for fun, but like
We're gonna go squatching.
it's not my career. So for me, this is a really like fun hobby. And I hope that makes sense, and I hope that doesn't like offend anyone, because I learned through these, what is it, 8 months? Has it been 8 months?
About.
Oh, good lord, I don't know.
So we've been doing this since October.
It's like 7 months.
7 months. It's just so interesting for me to look back and be like, wow, I really like hit every point on the emotional spectrum from like not wanting to do it at all to kind of doing it to being too invested in it and then having to like step back a little bit. Because we had this conversation. Cause Eli's told me before, he was like, Jasmine, I'm glad that you come back every week because I'm always afraid that one day you're just going to be like, I don't want to do this anymore. And
I straight up said that.
And I was like, well, sometimes like I thought about like what it would be like if I didn't do it. But it's just like, it's fun to have something that you can do and be a part of that doesn't have to have this huge stress on it. Like, because like we mentioned earlier, we all have different areas of passion and career that we want to follow. Like, I want to be an actor. Eli wants to be a writer director. Alex is an artist. Like, we have other things that have priority outside of this. And it's just really important to like prioritize the things that you're involved in.
And it, going off of yours is the whole, devoting too much time and especially getting stressed out because, we throughout the week we do our own independent research, then we get together on every Tuesday and record and kind of talk about it, and we've been real lucky to have a really good flow that I think, and it's one of those things. So I don't want to, like toot your own horn, but I'm pretty proud of the natural dynamic we have for the podcast. But there was a point too to where I was just like getting frustrated and having anxiety because I'm like, I don't have enough facts. I don't feel like I know what we're talking about in full detail, and that freaks me out. But it's okay to not know everything. It's okay to get, some, borderline bullet points because we'll talk about the facts, and then at least sometimes when we don't have as much info as other episodes, it's more fun because then we have a natural discussion of like, well, I found this. Really? What was that? Oh, it said this. Oh, that's kind of weird because that says that. Oh, well, I think this is more funny.
Hashtag Bronze Age.
Yeah.
Oh,
man.
We have had, listen.
No.
Talking about biting off more than you can chew, like.
We're sitting here talking about like how great it is to like have this project that we do together, but we can't deny that we've had some bad episodes. Like there's some rough ones out there. Obviously the beginning were pretty bad, but like throughout there's sometimes where we're just off our game. Like sometimes we're sick, sometimes we're tired, sometimes we don't want to be here.
Have a rough week
We've
or
got
something.
other things on our mind. The freaking Bronze Age was hilarious and one of my favorite moments. It was just a disaster of an episode because here we are. We're like, yeah, we're going to talk about these sea people that defeated and ended the Bronze Age. Turns out they're just like normal people who like rode on ships.
It was the pollen. Fossilized pollen. It took out the Bronze Age. Yeah, that was great because the first night we recorded 3 episodes. We did Battle of the Lake Monsters, Chupacabra, and Nightcrawlers.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that was interesting. It was kind of fun.
It's a bit much.
Much, especially because we didn't have like any info for the Nightcrawlers. And then the second week, we're like, okay, let's do Mongolian Deathworm, which Jasmine had no info for. I think we did one more episode.
I can tell you in just a moment.
Yeah, episode
Let me
5.
Scroll.
Flatwoods Monster, maybe?
Oh, wait. After Mongolian Deathworm?
Yeah.
I have it here in my notes.
Yeah, let's see.
Oh, shit.
I think it was the Bronze Age, actually. So in my notes,
Yeah,
I
it
go.
was episode 5.
It goes plesiosaurs, night crawlers, hashtag no notes taken, which I think was the Mongolian Deathworm, and then the Bronze Age.
Oh, okay. So I guess Bronze Age is episode 5. So we must. So did we just do Mongolian Deathworm that night?
Why are we doing this? Wow, I have the...
Yeah,
Right here.
it's not like we have some device that stores everything that is precious to us, and we can pull things up in a split second. But
okay,
what
so episode 5 was the Flatwoods Monster.
Aha!
Episode
6 is Bronze Age.
Where did
So-
episode 4 go?
It just disappeared.
That was Mongolian Deathworm.
Yeah,
Oh.
Mongolian Deathworm, and then episode 5, Flatwoods Monster.
Oh, there it is.
And then, so we did 2 episodes the second night,
Yeah.
and we're like, oh man, you know this podcast's going pretty good. We're telling everyone at work, hey, listen to this. And now I'm looking back, I'm like, what did people think
Yeah.
when they listened to it? But we're like, you know what we should do? Let's do a 2-parter. We've done 5 episodes. We can handle it. And then I think we talked about in the episode, you came across that Facebook post about the ancient sea people and the collapse of the Bronze
Yeah.
Age. And it had a picture of like a fisherman.
Yeah.
We're like, all right, Bronze Age. It's going to be real easy peasy. And the next thing, I remember that next day, we were like, okay, Bronze Age. I start researching. Like, oh my God, there's so much. And all of our info was completely contradictory to everything else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that episode's pretty great if you want. I think that's where we kind of worked out a lot of kinks. Because there was a lot of just like, because at one point Jasmine's just like, no,
yeah.
no.
There was a moment of realization where we kind of had to work a little harder to have a format and like know what we were going to talk about. Like not necessarily match each other's format, but like in our own notes have some sort of format
Yeah.
and flow of information.
Yeah. But I think we learned a lot from the Bronze Age episode, so I'll always love that episode. But
Yeah.
God, it's rough to get through at
Yeah.
some points.
What's interesting is the Instagram.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
how we started it. Because it started as memes.
Yeah,
And that never really took off.
Those are like the least liked things. is
Yeah.
the memes
the
you and me
memes.
make.
Even still, sometimes I still just put a meme out there and it doesn't get.
Falls flat on its face.
It really does. Though what works is these cryptid facts.
Yeah.
Which I just kind of threw out there. I was like, memes aren't doing so hot. I was like, all right, let's try some other formats.
Yeah.
And cryptid fact number 1 was the next thing, and that seemed to do pretty well.
Mhm.
So I just kept doing it, and then
And it was like it would go from like 40 likes, 50 likes. To I think one point one hit over 100.
we
And
were like,
I did do a double take. I was like, wait, 100 people liked this post,
yeah,
and only 29 liked my meme.
yeah,
But it's like I think we're onto something.
yeah.
And we're at, as of this moment, at 9:07 p.m. on whatever day it is. It's Tuesday, April 30th is when we're recording this. This isn't when it's posted. It'll probably be a couple weeks, but it's currently Tuesday, April 30th at 9:07 p.m. in the year 2019, and we have 889 followers on our Instagram.
Whoa.
Which blows my mind because, first of all, I want to know how many of those 800 people actually listen to the podcast
Yeah,
or
yeah,
even
what's up?
realize that we're a podcast.
If you're listening to this episode, go to Cryptid Fact number 27 and just write a comment.
What? Oh, that would be funny, yeah.
Just to see if we can get a blow up on that one random post.
Because in a couple weeks we'll have people like searching it out and being like, "Oh, hey, I heard this on the podcast."
Cryptid fact 27. I'm gonna have to double check what that is. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, one of the craziest things is definitely that people even listen to us. Because we're not.
Especially people we don't know
Yeah.
in any capacity, like, of our
Yeah.
personal lives.
Because it's different when you're like talking to your coworkers or your friends and you're like, "Hey, we have a podcast. You want to listen to it?" But the fact that like strangers have somehow found us is cool.
Sorry, Cryptid fact 27 introduces the concept of windows, the window fallers.
Oh yeah.
But there's over 500 likes on it already
Nice.
and 20 comments.
Awesome.
Nice.
So I
Blow
want
it
to.
up,
So
blow it
yeah, I
up.
want to see if that one gets especially because window fallers is my favorite idea for what cryptids are.
Yeah, window fallers.
It's crazy though because like I totally just lost whatever was in my brain. I don't know what I was going to say.
I don't know, but we're gonna get 1,000
Oh,
followers soon.
I was gonna say
Ooh.
it's crazy because we're not experts in any sense. Like I mentioned
Nor
earlier.
do we claim. To
Yeah,
be.
we don't claim to be experts. We're literally just like 3 peeps who are like, let's talk about weird stuff.
Yeah.
And we do. And people listen to it. And for some reason they keep coming back. And
So we're doing something right.
I think that's really cool. Like, I don't want to get an ego or anything, but
You like us. You
we gotta
really like us.
we gotta stay humble. But it's cool because we have I hesitate to even use that word, but we have quote fans who interact with us.
Out in the PFOS nation.
People's Nation. But like that's one of the things that we're gonna talk about during this hiatus is how to like incorporate like fan interactions, like have some sort of fan segment or like because people interact with us.
Mhm.
Like we get tweets, we get Instagram messages, we
Yeah.
get likes, and that's so freaking cool.
And like it's one of those things I plug it every week. We have our email. It's cryptidcampfirepodcast@gmail.com, and like we want you to email us if you have any weird stories, any if you have anything you just want to tell us, like email us, and we will because we're excited to get emails. I think we've gotten a couple, and
Yeah, like 2 or 3.
it's always exciting when it's just like because we have our Facebook message group that we
Yeah.
we talk through, and it's just like, hey guys, check it out, and it's just like an email or a message about the podcast, like, oh my gosh, like this is awesome.
Yeah, and if you are one of the people who've already like messaged us in some capacity, like we want you to know that we appreciate that. We may not actually do anything with what you've told us or what you've shared with us,
Mhm.
but that's because we don't know what we want to do yet. We don't know how we want to do it. So
This is literally a living, breathing organism that's
Yeah.
kind of making its way every week to it gets new footing, learns something, gets better.
Yeah.
I hope every week.
yeah. So please, basically what I'm trying to say is bear with us. If you've messaged us and you've wanted us to share something and we haven't, or if you feel like you've been ignored, like that's not the intention.
Mhm.
We're still trying to figure out what we want to do. We're figuring out how we want to interact, like with the people who follow us and how we want to use our platforms. So be patient with us there. Not that there's like hundreds of people chomping at the bit and flooding our emails or anything, but like we are in such the early stages where our interactions are personal.
Mhm.
Like we have the time to respond to people personally.
Mhm.
We
I'm
have
so
the
sorry.
time.
Bless you.
Bless you. We have the ability to like really think about what we want to say, and while we're in this stage, we really want to like give that effort and do it right. We don't want to just start throwing things out there and like promising people things
Mhm.
when it's not what we're actually going to do or anything like that.
You get a free T-shirt. You get a free T-shirt.
We don't even have t-shirts yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Ooh, spoiler.
They're getting made.
Hey.
Maybe.
Trying.
Made from the finest Yeti scalps we could find.
Yeah. Oh.
Smuggled by Jimmy Stewart. But yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun. Like in all honesty, like it's been like it's crazy because I just go through life now and I'm just like, yeah, a podcast with 889 followers.
Right.
What you got? Like
Last week I missed last week.
Mhm.
And I think that was the first time I've missed a week where I was doing something that I didn't want to do.
Mhm.
Cuz I've missed a week before, but I was camping.
Yeah.
So like that was fun. But like this I was like at a play that I didn't really want to go to. Surprise, surprise, it was an opera, which I really don't like. And I was literally going through like withdrawals. I felt like something was really off. I was like, where's my cryptid? Where's my cryptid facts? I was like,
It's one of those things to where I think we mentioned it before. It's like because we spend like a week just sometimes getting deeper, sometimes pulling back, but just researching just one cryptid for like a week straight. Like casually looking at it, going deep. But it's a week of just say the Flatwoods Monster, and then we get together and we just expel all the things we've learned,
Yeah.
and it's like so cathartic because then it's just like it's freeing because it's like I learned all this stuff and now it's out, and then it's just like I could do it every week. It's kind of like I'd assume like a meditation kind of like workout high that you kind of get of just like
It's a
focusing,
cycle.
just focusing and then just releasing and then being like, all right, I'll do it again, and it just I feel good after every podcast. Whether the episode is good or could be improved. I feel good and I feel proud of Cryptid Campfire and what we've kind of built here, and I look forward to the future.
Yep.
Same.
So yeah, we'll be taking this. We don't exactly know how long the hiatus is going to be. We haven't really discussed it.
It's gonna be a whole year.
No.
Complete radio silence.
But we're gonna take a few weeks,
Imagine.
maybe a month off to really dive into where we want to go with this. Now that we kind of have our footing and we kind of have a following, like we want to do it right. So we're gonna have some meetings. We're gonna put out some content.
On the YouTube page.
Yo, yeah,
for sure.
definitely. We got a YouTube page, Cryptid Campfire.
We're gonna be delving into some good stuff over there.
We might put out some bad stuff. We might put out some stuff that people don't like or
Yeah.
don't really jive with, and we'll learn from that. But that's why we're going to take this time instead of just like throwing things out there and like rolling one episode after the other. We're going to take like another meeting. Like we're going to sit down and figure it out. So hopefully we have some good things ahead.
Yeah, I'm excited. We want to bring nothing but the best that we can.
I'll be honest though, I feel like we're running out of cryptids, but I know that's not true.
We got
Oh,
plenty more.
we got cryptids on cryptids on cryptids, baby.
And not only that, we can go back into the whole history thing. After the Bronze Age, I was scarred, so I never brought up history anomalies ever again. But I'm down to.
Yeah, I mean, there's it's one of those things. So we're called Cryptid Campfire, but we did an episode about ghost encounters. Real life ghost encounters. We've talked about cryptids that are possible aliens. Like I want to get into more UFO based alien stuff. Get into more paranormal stuff. We want to branch out. We'll still be Cryptid Campfire, but there's so much in this world to talk about, so much weird stuff that like I'm just passionately interested and curious about, like that. I don't think we'll ever really run out of stuff.
Yeah.
And plus, we can always go back and redo some of the old episodes because oh boy, have we got some new stuff found out.
Oh yeah, true that.
Well, I think we've kind of reached a natural stopping point for this episode, unless there's anything else you guys want to throw in, any fun memories or any.
I mean,
thing
what
at all?
What would you say is your favorite personal episode? Your personal favorite episode?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
I got one.
Okay, what's yours?
Skinwalkers. Okay, so this is why. Because, I was partaking of that herb the other day, and
Oh,
I was
God.
like, what would be dope to listen to right now? And I was like, myself. So I
Oh.
put on Cryptid Campfire and Skinwalkers. I was like, which one's good? And I was like, no. And I was like, Skinwalkers, dope. And I was just like listening to it. Sure, my mind was not naturally where it should be.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, yeah, this is good. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm digging this. Oh, no. Fairies. There's just so much in there.
Yeah.
That is just, every little thing is a little wormhole that you can get into. I've probably listened to that like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Just trying to
Ooh.
I'm like, there's so much in there.
Ooh, we
that's
could
just,
definitely revisit fairies a few more times, I think.
maybe. There's a
Yeah,
lot
'cause
there.
There's a lot. I would say my personal favorite, and the one I always tell people, if I'm like, hey, listen, I have a podcast, skip the first few episodes,
Yeah.
they're a little rough. But start with the Yeti.
Oh, yeah.
I'm real proud of that episode.
I'm proud of my research from that one.
That-
I don't know if I would say that was my favorite, but I was proud of myself.
It's one of my favorite of at least the 2018 episodes we record.
Yeah.
Because that one is just, I think that one has a really good flow
Uh-huh.
for having, because we have we bring something new to the Yeti every fact we have.
Yeah.
You especially, you bring out the entire thing, but for having so much random stuff, I think that one has a pretty good start of the flow you start to see.
Yeah.
I would say I listened to Melonheads the other day too, and that one's pretty great.
Yeah.
I think that one's pretty
From
fantastic
Granada.
because we were like, you know what, Melonheads, like What the hell? Like, because it was Melonheads and I think the Dover Demon we recorded that night. And it was like, Dover Demon, heck yeah, we were looking for
Yeah.
that. We needed a second one. I don't know, Melonheads. What the hell? That one came out pretty good.
Yeah.
So I would say those two are definitely two of my prouder ones, the Melonheads and the Yeti.
All the ones that stick out to me are my least favorite. Like ones where like I wasn't proud of my research, or ones where like I wasn't proud of the flow we had going on.
Like which ones?
The leprechaun one.
Oh.
I was like, why does Alex have to be drunk for this?
I just
He didn't like tell us either. He just did it. He just was drunk, and I was like, okay.
I thought I asked you guys.
Did you? I don't remember.
I thought I was like, hey guys, I'm thinking for leprechaun. I might
Maybe.
drink a
Or
little
maybe
bit.
you did.
Is that okay with you
it was
guys?
on theme. Maybe you did.
Because there's a few episodes like we watched Mothman Prophecies as a Hail Mary. Oh.
Those are kind of my favorite episodes.
Oh,
the
yeah.
movie reviews.
Yeah, like
Because that's so fun to get together and watch a movie that's terrible.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It's just it was one of those things where I was like, man, you know what? It's our first tome season, if you will.
Yeah.
We can do whatever we want. We can get gimmicky with it just to see. I wanted to get reactions from people.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see will people listen to a podcast if I'm drunk.
Mhm.
And I actually got feedback that people thought that was funny.
Yeah.
I was like, we should watch Mothman Prophecies because we researched the hell out of Mothman. Let's watch this movie with Richard Gere. And that was a lot of fun because
It
that
was.
movie is insane.
I do like the movie reviews.
Yeah, so it's just, and then we have the ghost episode, like.
And
just
that
us-
was like so random too.
Yeah. That one just, because originally we were going to talk about, rock apes or something, I believe, and we were like, and then my wife was in the studio with us, and we
It
started
was
talking.
cryptids in Vietnam that we were going to talk about
Yeah.
that night.
And we were talking about just like a ghost story, and then we're like, we should record this instead, and it was just like on the fly. But we've gotten a lot of good feedback from that episode. Like, it was us trying stuff out, and now we've learned a lot from it, and we're gonna take a hiatus and take what we've learned and make tome 2, season 2, if you will, really kick ass, I think.
Yep.
So I'm excited. It's a lot of
So-
fun.
I think this will wrap up tome 1 really well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is out of all the cryptids, put them all in a battle arena.
Yeah.
Who's gonna win?
Thunderbird.
I was gonna
Ooh.
say Thunderbird as well. They're just
Yeah?
OP.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a tough one.
They're my favorite.
all the cryptids.
'Cause, I mean, Dover Demon's getting squashed
Uh,
first, dude.
For
He's got,
sure.
He's got that math test.
I don't
man.
know that
His
the-
head's
What
not
about
in it.
the Nightcrawlers might not make it very far.
Oh
either.
yeah,
They don't have
yeah.
anything-
What do they do?
I'm pretty sure those things are like don't have any insides. They're just like pants. So like they don't take any damage, but they can't do any damage.
Thunderbird has the high ground for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They'll freaking eat the skyfish.
Dude, maybe although fairy. Ooh yeah, skyfish would
Yeah.
be astro jelly real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe fairies because their powers
Oh,
are
yeah.
pretty wild, especially the Daka ones, the dark
Yeah,
elf,
the
dark
dark
elf
elves.
fairies. Like those guys are pretty dope. I love the Yeti, so I would say the
Gargoyles.
Yeti. Ooh.
Where are they at in this?
Oh yeah.
Mostly dangerous to Doberman pinchers, I think, right? Or the German Shepherds, right?
Yeah.
Any dog-based cryptid.
Well,
Ooh,
I don't
the
know,
Dogman and the Gargoyles.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a good battle. Oh man,
Jeez.
I would say, you know, it would be pretty good. Rock apes,
Rock apes. They would probably do very well against the dog.
especially because they seem to have strategies from the stories of
Yeah.
GIs fighting them. So I think rock apes would be pretty good. I think the Thunderbird would kick ass.
I'm Team Thunderbird.
I
Team
think
Thunderbird.
the Thunderbirds would bring in Mimlos the whale.
Ooh,
drop 'em
team
on
up like a
everybody. Yeah.
temporary team up maybe.
Yeah, dude.
Oh man.
Now we're getting into like Godzilla
yeah.
type things.
It's funny too, because I think it was in the first episode, like out of nowhere, we were like, oh, we're talking about Champ and Nessie and Ogopogo. And Ina's like, yeah, we're going to put them in a big tank and they're going to fight to death. Who would win? It's like, wait, what? And the original idea was, we're going to talk about which cryptid will kill the other one. I love it, man. It's been a wild 8 months, but like it's been so much fun, and I'm looking forward to Bigfoot Malls. I tell you what.
yeah. So,
Well, thank you for everyone for joining us on this journey of Cryptid Campfire. My name is Alex Daikaiju. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Alex Daikaiju. That's Alex Daikaiju. What about you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. Username is the same on both platforms. It's at Jasmine Maywith. JasmineMaewith.
Yep.
What about you, fella?
You can find me. The best way to reach me is through the official at Cryptid Campfire Instagram page. Feel free to DM.
Mm-hmm.
Slide into those DMs.
Yes,
Ooh,
slide
no,
into-
do not.
Slide into those DMs. I'll respond. And
But keep it PG.
also, don't hesitate to email us.
Yeah. You
at-
want to drop the name?
It's cryptidcampfirepodcast@gmail.com.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
And
So-
keep your eyes tuned to the Instagram. That'll be updated during the hiatus. We'll be doing that more often. We'll have definitely subscribe to us on YouTube. Cryptid Campfire. We'll be doing some new videos. We have some of our episodes up there to listen to if you like to do a YouTube podcast listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I have to say. I'll let you guys say your last bits and we'll get out of here.
That's it.
This might have been my favorite episode to record.
Hell yeah.
This- recognizing the journey and the growth has been really fun, and I'm excited to kind of buckle down and figure out where we're going to go with this.
Heck yeah.
Tight. Thunderbirds are winning, by the way.
All right, guys. We will see you soon.
Goodbye.
Bye.